Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free QuickBooks. It's May 6th, 2014. Happy to have you aboard, whether you're listening or watching tonight or listening throughout the week. I'll be one of your hosts for this evening. My name is Woody Adams. I'm a product specialist with Intuit and been with Intuit for about 10 years now. And though I am an Intuit employee, the opinion statements or views expressed in the shows may not reflect the opinion statements or views of Intuit. Intuit is not affiliated with the show. And along with me on Radio Free QuickBooks tonight as well, Stacy Kildall will be on. Dawn is not going to be on tonight. We'll hope to have her back next week. But Stacy, you're calling in from beautiful Michigan. How are you doing there?
I am. Hang on. I'll get on the, there's me on the camera. So I'm calling in from, it was actually beautiful Michigan today. I just want to say that. It was about 60 degrees and very few clouds in the sky. So longest, Kevin and I, my husband and I have been saying it's been like the longest March. This March has lasted at least 3 months so far. So it was a beautiful day. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to jump. First, I want to just say Dawn is not going to be on the show because she's not feeling well tonight. So I'm hoping that she feels a little bit better. She's got some, yep. So we miss her, and I'm sad that she's not going to be on. But I'm going to go ahead and screen share for those of us who are watching on YouTube. And again, I want to mention that if you're listening live on Blog Talk Radio, you don't want to listen there and do the live YouTube because the sound is slightly off on both of them, so it's kind of one or the other. We're just still about almost a month in with adding the live Google Hangout, so you know, we want to be able to make a podcast, and plus and this is probably going to be the last time that I mention that we're going to be, you know, mention this thing. We're just going to do it from now on. Also, today is new because we moved from Wednesdays to Tuesdays. Dawn has an ongoing appointment that she has on Wednesdays that sometimes she has a hard time calling into the show on time, and so we making some changes after 3.5 years. We're moving from Wednesdays to Tuesdays, same time, but instead of 90 minutes, we're going to be 60 minutes, and that's because we are including the video aspect as well. So I'm going to screen share so our video watchers can see our sponsors, and I want to thank our sponsors. And for those of you who are new Radio Free QuickBooks listeners, we're really, really picky about the sponsors that we take on the show. If the three of us don't actively recommend and or use the products, if we don't collectively as a group agree that they're good quality products, we don't even bother talking to them about sponsorship. So we've sort of handpicked some of the really great tools that we have, and the first one is Avalara. They're an amazing sales tax engine. If you have any sort of complex sales tax, or if you're like me and you're just sick of the state of Michigan screwing it up, even though you have one sales tax for the whole state, Avalara will manage that for you. They'll figure out what the sales tax is based on the GPS location of the sale. They'll file the return, they'll make the payments, everything, and it's all integrated, and it works with QuickBooks Online as well as QuickBooks Desktop. One of our newer sponsors is Exact Online. There's a couple different inventory add-ons for QuickBooks Online, and Exact Online happens to be one of them. Exact also works with Desktop, which I like as well, and it's a really hardcore, very, very robust manufacturing and distribution inventory solution. Of kind of talking to these guys and getting to know them, they reached out to us, and I said, you know what, I gotta see it, I gotta touch it, feel it. I don't just want a demo, and we do that with all of the sponsors. Usually at least one of us plays with the app and gets to know it before we bring them on. And Exact Online is really great. T-Sheets, great online time clock tool. I think it's really neat because you can see when they're clocked in. You can see the GPS. One of my favorite aspects of this is how you can pinpoint the customization, like the access to it. So you can set it so that a user can only log in from a specific domain name or even down to a specific computer. So tsheets.com. Zencash, long time, and Avalara and has been a really long time sponsor. Zencash, they really kind of shepherd your receivables. They really help you sort of get paid faster. I think for a lot of small businesses, getting paid can sometimes be a hassle. A lot of times we have really personal relationships with our customers and our clients, and it's sometimes a little bit difficult to get paid. And Zencash sort of takes the onus off the small business owner. And they also have a really great partner program as well that they've just recently launched. And then Unidata IT. You know, as much as I love my QBO, I still have to sometimes say that's not the best fit for a certain client, and I still have desktop clients. And so we use Unidata for our hosting service. Absolutely, positively, some of the best customer service I have ever experienced with any kind of company. All the ones that we have picked, that was one of the big factors, is making sure that they had great customer service. And so Unidata IT, they have 3 different ways that you can host QuickBooks, and one of them is the regular remote desktop protocol, RDP. They also have a Citrix login, and one of the really cool things that I just recently got to see and play around with is something that they call cloud paging. And basically, instead of logging into a remote server, you install this very small app, this client on your local computer, on your Windows computer, and basically you stream the software. So you're streaming the software while you're using it. It's actually really, really cool. So I want to thank all of our sponsors, and also we have Scaling New Heights, which is not on here, but Scaling New Heights is coming up. We just had Joe Woodard, and of course they're our sponsors. Sometimes they're, like this time of year, the first few months of the year, Scaling New Heights. So Scaling New Heights, really, really amazing conference. So if you are a QuickBooks provider, a service provider, you're a consultant, you're a pro advisor, Scaling New Heights was specifically designed for the pro advisor community. It's one of the largest groups of pro advisors to get together in one place. It's really huge. Lot of great vendors, third-party applications. This year, and the problem with it is figuring out which track you want to take. There's so much training to choose from, and yes, that is a crayon in my hand. I could not find a pen, and so I'm going to be using a crayon to make notes on my show doc, because I actually had to print the show doc because my iPad is the battery is dead because my son has been playing Angry Birds and Webkins on it so much that my battery it's not charged. Nice. So I actually had to print out our show doc, which has all of our questions, and I'm going to be using a crayon today because that's the only writing utensil I could find down here in my office. So anyway, Woody, how are things with you? I'm done talking.
No, it's good. Yeah, I was out at the New York Accounting Show last week and had a lot of fun. I was there Tuesday through left Friday. Talked to a lot of accountants, did a lot of demoing of QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Online Accountant as well. And I was also showing T-Sheets because that's the third-party app I had plugged in my QBO file at the time. And so people got to see the sync in real time without having to install an Intuit Sync Manager, which is nice because that's what you got to do, or third parties have to do for the desktop. So QBO and just on the web, it just seems to work a lot more intuitively, if I can use that term. But it was fun. It was 2 slamming days of answering questions and some desktop, but mostly it was QuickBooks Online and Online Account and how they work together. So that's what I did, and then I came back Friday, and it was a pretty quiet weekend. And now we're back at work, and I get to go to New Jersey next week. So anybody listening to the show that's in New Jersey, please come by the booth.
So you're going to be in Jersey. You'll be at the Jersey show.
I'm going to be there. I'm going to be doing the theater, so I'll be presenting like 10 minutes, I think 3 times each day on QBO, QBOA, and a third-party app and integration.
Nice.
And
That's
and
awesome.
the money shot is the when you take a picture with your phone of a receipt and how it can create an expense in QBO. So I've been practicing that because a colleague of mine, John Shapiro, who's a product manager out in Mountain View, he does that all the time. That's like it's how he usually ends his presentation, and it's pretty cool to see. Nice. Just taking a picture with your iPhone, and the expense lands right in QuickBooks Online. So because of that, when you have QBO, you get a free QuickBooks mobile app,
Yeah.
And you can download it on your phone or
Well, you can download it even if you don't
on
have
your
it. I
Android.
think you can download it
Yeah.
if you don't have a subscription. And can't you do the test drive from it? Can't you play around with it even if you don't have a subscription?
I am not sure.
Or am I
I'll have to
making that
look,
up?
'cause
I might be making that up.
when I log in, you have to have a subscription, because when I log in, I have like 50 company files in the list.
Right.
So I have to choose the right company file, and it just loads your data. And you can do a lot of customer stuff, but also an expense form, and choose whether it's credit, check, or cash. And I just love how you can tag the receipt. The picture of the receipt actually becomes a picture.
Yeah.
A document attached in QuickBooks Online. I'm actually going to show that right now, just so you guys can check it out. This is I just love this. Not that I'll take a picture, but because you guys probably know that. But wait a minute, am I in the wrong one? Are you not seeing the screen?
See it. It looks great. Yeah, it looks really good.
Okay, good. Good, because when I look at it, it's like that eternity kind of desktop sharing that they keep duplicating each other. So here's what it looks like once it comes in. Or literally, it's just a transaction on the phone. And had I something to show you, I could show you the app. But it's a green icon. You just go to your app store, type in QuickBooks. There's one for desktop, but that's a blue one. Choose the green one. That's for QBO. And here's the expense that came in. Notice I didn't choose a vendor, so you could do that on the mobile phone app, or once it comes into QBO. The mobile phone app actually lets me choose vendor, account, or item, as well as if it's billable or not to a particular customer. So you could really pre-fill a lot of this stuff just on the mobile app. But then here's the receipt, and you guys will see a picture of it. And you can tell that it's upside down because I took the picture upside down. But just taking a picture of that and then filling out the appropriate fields, it literally takes, I don't know, 10 or 15 seconds. Save it, and then it shows up in QBO as an expense transaction assigned to that particular vendor. So I kind of like that kind of stuff of QuickBooks Online, where there's nothing to install to make that happen. You just download the app and you have a QBO subscription, and you can do stuff on your phone. So I really like that piece of it.
I think that's really cool too. I was explaining that to, I was doing a training session because I was in, where was I? Last week I was somewhere.
Mountain View?
No, 2 weeks ago I was in Mountain View. I gotta think about this.
New York?
Yes. Oh, yes, New York. Because I just missed you guys. That's right. Like, I just missed all of you. Like, you and MB and Emily and Chris and everybody. Everybody was in New York, and I was about an hour out of the city, I think. I don't really know. So, anyway, I was doing a 2-hour training session for a nonprofit group. All of the chapters get together every 2 months, and we do a 2-hour kind of Q&A. And or however long it meets, they need it, but we schedule it for 2 hours. So anyway, I was explaining that they can do that. They can just take the picture and it posts right to it, and they were just ecstatic. One of the things that they were really excited about was that even though there's a file size limitation, there's no quantity limitation on the attachments in QuickBooks Online. So they were just so ridiculously excited about that, because they have been really struggling with a way to kind of manage all of the receipts that they get when they have to do their reimbursables. So I really like that one. And you know what? It's one of those things that I forget. I kind of forget sometimes to tell people about. And so I've been really making an effort to, to mention it, because, it's sort of a big deal. It's kind of cool.
Right, because I can make it reimbursable, which I like, even on the phone app. So you just choose if it's billable or not, and it'll come over, or at least assigned to a job.
Yeah,
I think I might still have to check off billable. But you're going to review the receipt anyway when it comes in. So it's still, real close to being completely automated from the phone to QBO. So I could see people using that. I think that's great. Well, we'll go to some questions, but that's basically what I got going. I'm only doing 5 shows this year instead of the 13 I did last year, just because of we got the Abby and she's young, and I want to be home and help out as much as I can.
And she's got those cheeks. I wouldn't want to be away from those cheeks either. So for those of you who might be new listeners or new viewers, Woody has 3 children. All of them are absolutely adorable. And the latest one is Abby, and she was born in January. And she has these amazing cheeks. They're just, and she looks like she's got some chunky. Does she have the chunky thighs? Like, I would have a hard time not sort of.
Chunky all over. It's crazy.
Eric was like that. Eric was like that too, where like I just like squeezed his thighs. They were almost like a stress ball for me. Like I would just sort of squeeze his thighs all the time. And Abby, my favorite thing about Abby is that on all the pictures that you and Nick, Woody's wife is Nick, they post on Facebook, Abby always looks either very suspicious about what's happening around her, or she looks very concerned about the activities. Like she's like everything happening is maybe a little sketch, and she's not quite sure that everybody around her is on the up and up. So, and I love those pictures. Yeah, because she's awesome.
It's because she's around Ray and Isaac, so she's just kind of wondering about all that.
Right.
Like, but no, thanks for the kind word. She's doing well. She is the chunkiest baby so far, by far.
I love that.
So I'm hanging around more. I'm not going to LA. I'm not going to Chicago, but I'm going to New Jersey, Scaling New Heights, Sleater, and the Intuit event at the end of October, which I'm sure we'll announce later on.
Hopefully, I have been told about that. I want to mention that. We had Joe on, so for those of you who haven't had a chance, please take a listen to what was last Wednesday, the 30th? The last show was April 30th.
Yep.
Joe Woodard is on. He's got some really great information about Scaling New Heights, as well as I had somebody, I think, reply on Twitter about the Disney stuff that he talked about and the stuff that he learned when he went to the Disney University or Disney Academy for Business or whatever.
That was great.
Very interesting stuff, and also we want to mention that Intuit is having I keep calling it their October Shindig is what I keep referring to it as, because the name hasn't been announced yet. But I was told that we should expect a name and registration and all that good stuff, a lot more details, hopefully towards the end of this month, so within the next few weeks.
Nice.
I don't have an exact date, but I was told, later this month, late May, early June, and so it's an event in October, and it's going to be in the Bay Area, out near Mountain View. I think. I know the venue has been decided. I can't remember what it is, and I know I've been told like 15 times. But it's an event that's supposed to bring together small businesses, QuickBooks consultants like Dawn and me, product specialists like you, and support people, and like Mike Maas and Emily and all these people that we know, and also third-party developers as well. So kind of bringing everybody together all under one roof, just to kind of learn stuff and to figure stuff out. So it should be pretty interesting.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited about that. And a nice time of the year to be out in California, late fall. I mean, that's just beautiful weather.
Yes.
So we'll get to showed you the expense thing coming in from the phone to QuickBooks Online. Now here's one, freight absorbed. So should freight absorbed? So let's just say as a scenario where he's using a bill of material, an assembled item, and you know how in the bill of material it's not just inventory items, but you can put in other charges, service items, for labor, non-inventory parts, and have it all be part of the cost of the finished good. And so freight often can go in there. So he's just asking if it should be a cost of goods sold account or a freight expense. So when he's using the bill of materials, some freight is included in the materials, thus creating a negative amount of the profit and loss as freight absorbed. So in my experience, it should be the item itself or the account freight absorbed should be a cost of goods sold account, particularly if it's part of the bill of material. Stacy, do you have any, from your experience with including freight on purchased orders or bills or things like that as part of the item?
So historically, unless I mean, if it's, part of they want to roll it up in the cost of that part, then they're going to have to create basically an assembly item to do it. But
Right.
generally, most of my clients who are just strictly using QuickBooks or QuickBooks Online to track their inventory, they're going to have it as usually as what you said. Basically, yes, what you said. That's a long way
An
to say
account,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was doing an enterprise demo today, and they wanted to know when they're purchasing, how can they include the freight, and that's easy enough. You include it as a line item.
Yeah.
However, I suppose you could do a group item, or an assembly if you wanted it to be part of the cost.
Right.
Whereas the freight line item is like another charge item you add to the assembled part.
Exactly.
I think also though, because it's hard to get that perfect, because the freight is actually part of the cost of the item. That's going to be part of the cost of goods sold. Now,
Right.
the cost of goods sold for an inventory part isn't going to show till you sell it, whereas the freight will show right away because it's a two-sided item. So my thought is, do people, they probably make inventory adjustments periodically throughout the month for value, and they choose the items, they put in the amount, and they offset it to cost of goods sold.
Yeah.
So you have to be really rigid on that for freight absorbed. So I'm assuming a group item would work as well.
Yeah, I love group items. I think group items, people, I don't know, at least clients, a lot of times I feel like group items, they don't get the credit that they don't get their props. And you and I have talked about group items a lot, and it's one of the things that really kind of, I will say this, gives me the sads about that QBO doesn't have. I think that QuickBooks Online really needs to have group items. I'm not worried about assemblies right now. That's not a big deal because there's really great add-ons like Exact Online, and there's other inventory options that work that you can get some of the advanced inventory features. But I mean, if my life would be so much easier if I could do group items in QuickBooks Online, because I mean, we use them for everything. Anytime we have to do any sort of it's a really easy way to manage, like automatically manage sales commissions if you want to. Like vendor, like if you have a contractor. The one example that I always go to with group items is I had court reporting companies. So they had all of their court reporters were contractors, and so they were due 80% of everything that they billed out. And so this company, she was really, really struggling to track that the easiest way. And so we used group items to do it so that when they created the invoices, it automatically tracked the expense and the liability for the reporter. Like right then, we were with one transaction, one group item, and we set up a group item for each one of the people, contractors, the reporters that worked for her. And so at the end of the week or end of the month, all she had to do was go open a balance sheet, look at the balance in the liability account for that particular court reporter, and cut a check to zero it out. And we were doing that with just those. I think group items are an amazing tool in QuickBooks. I just love them. I get really excited when I get to tell clients, oh, we'll use a group item for that. Like I just get so excited about it. It's sort of sad. I'll just say it's a little sad.
Right. Yeah, no, that's good. So I think a group or a build assembly, it all depends. Then you have to, remember to build the assembly and make sure you have all the component parts. There's a lot of moving parts to that. And then there's the inventory adjustment affecting the appropriate cost of goods sold account. Still, I guess I just wish there was a better way to have freight be in with the particular item. So I have a client who needs to know how to manage inventory trades in QuickBooks. So it's similar to, when you're a customer and vendor are trading goods for services, you have a clearing account. So but he's talking about, it's him, he's the business owner, and then he has a customer, and they like swap inventory items. no real money's changing hands. It's just, you know, I have a widget, you give me a gadget, and we're just going to call it even. And how do you track that in QuickBooks? But
just don't bother.
But I would think you would still have a clearing account for that, and the customer is a customer, so you sell him the widget, and then so that would be on a sales receipt or an invoice, and it has the item as sold, and you're gonna go ahead and there's no real payment, so you're receiving what I'm trying to think how you do it. Receive a payment and have it go into like a clearing bank account, and then when they, I mean, do you have any ideas how to do this? I don't. You know
what?
A clearing bank account, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, probably you could do that. I don't think I've ever done it, and I'm going to be perfectly honest. I'm gapping out completely. Some sort of inventory adjustment. If Dawn were here, she would be all, "Hey, just do this, and then this, and then you're done, and then it's that." Like she would rip it, and answer really quickly. But
no, I think you're right. I think instead of a transaction, it would be an inventory adjustment. That's going to be way better.
Yeah.
And then you can affect the particular account, which would be a clearing account.
Yeah.
So it should always be zero.
Yeah.
No, that's good. Okay, gotcha. At least use an inventory adjustment for part of it, maybe when you receive it, and then have it going out on some kind of sales transaction, and the item hits that same account and it clears it out, zeroes it out. Okay, similar kind of thing. Now, Stacy, can we go to remember Charlie Russell's question regarding there's a payment item type in QuickBooks Desktop. He wants to do a similar thing in QBO.
Yes.
And let's do that one. I can create a sales receipt that has a charge to a service item.
Wait, I'm going to ask you the question while you tee up QBO, okay? I'll ask you the question. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay. So, because you, I think, had a better solution than I did, I think, when we were emailing. Okay. So Charlie Russell had emailed me, and he had asked in Desktop they have a payment item type, right? And they can so they create a sales receipt. It has a charge to a service item, and they want to add a payment item to post to a payment account to give the sales receipt a zero balance. There are times when I want to do that to enter some sales and payments that were processed outside of QuickBooks for some reason. So maybe like a retail store, or there's any other reasons why you would be doing this. I don't want to use a QuickBooks connected merchant account. Maybe you have an outside POS system or whatever. Like there's a lot of different reasons why you might be doing this. I don't see how to do that in QuickBooks Online. I can make the sales receipt, but I'm not sure of a way to actually enter a payment on that to make it a $0 sales receipt and not touch any payment processing in any way. I'm not as up to speed on QBO as much as I should be. And so I think what we sort of crowdsourced between you and I think I gave him maybe 2 or 3 different things that you could kind of think about to do, but I think between the 3 of us we came up with creating a line item, basically a deposit line item in the products and service list, and then we'll point that to whatever account that you want it to be pointed to, maybe undeposited fund or whatever it is that you're going to point it to, checking account, to which you want it to post, and then you would just include it as a negative line item to zero out the sales receipt. That's how I have always generally done that in QuickBooks. I think I've done that in Desktop as well as QBO most of the time. I don't think I've ever used a specific payment type to do that. So Woody has, I'm going to move the camera over to you.
You should be able to see my
and
products and service list.
Yeah, and then you can walk everybody through it step by step.
I got here by clicking on the gear icon, products and services, under the list menu. So you guys can see that. I'm in the new QBO because at the end of June, everyone's going to be the new QBO. And then I'm just going to click New and create the item itself, and we'll just call it Payment Item. And now I'm only going to do one side, so I'm going to link it to my undeposited funds account, and it's not taxable. You know, I'll just say to zero out, call it. So, and it's just one-sided. I don't believe I need to do it two-sided here. Oh, maybe I already did it. Sorry, hold on. Maybe I already tested it. Let me see. Yeah, payment. Here we go. Okay. Sorry, I already created this a few weeks ago. So, but hey, at least you got to see how to create the one-sided item. Once that's done, because there's a couple other things you can consider in the company settings. If you go to the gear icon, company settings on the left, and then sales, there is the discount and the deposit. So the deposit is just a deposit on it, which you could put the full amount to and have it go to undeposited funds or a checking account if you want, or a discount, but it's not really, it's not technically a discount. So I didn't like that one. And it's, you know, it depends on where the deposit goes to. I think deposits go to, you know, a retainer account. So you'd have to choose, you know, the deposit item to go to undeposited funds or checking as well. So all right, so let's go to the sales receipt. And I'm just going to choose internal for, I'll do Jimenez. And we're going to sell the service. Oh, right. At the top of QBO, and then
yes, yep. So Woody, yeah, like he's gone to the Quick Create button and he clicked the little plus. I call it the spinny plus. It's also called the Quick Create. And he did a new sales receipt, and so now he's like choosing the customer. But before he did that, he went to his products and services list, and he created the item that he wanted to called payment, and then pointed it to the right account. So now he's choosing his customer in his sales receipt.
Right. Thank you. Exactly. And so I have my product and service called accounting consulting, description, quantity. I just do one. And then you'll see, because I have my preferences turned on for discount, that I could do that. But again, I don't. In this case, I'm not really going to take a discount. Instead, I'm going to add another item under product and service and choose the payment item that's there for negative 200. So it's a $0 sales receipt. Balance due is 0, and then I can just click save and close. Now what we'll do is we'll go look at this transaction. And right now I'm clicking on the little hourglass, because that shows like the last 10 transactions. So it's just a fast way, but I could have gone to the customers, clicked on the Radio Free QuickBooks, and then pulled up the sales receipt too, or their search. But I like this little hourglass, because if you ever did something and you think you made a mistake or you weren't sure, you just want to go check it out, right to the right of that Quick Create icon, the big plus, is the hourglass. Or not an hourglass, I'm sorry. It's like a picture of a clock. And it stands for recent transactions. I don't know why we chose that symbol, just so you guys know, but it shows like the last 10 transactions or something. So I'm going to go to the sales receipt. That's a $0. And if I go to the More tab, I can look at the audit history, which I'm hoping would give me what was done on this transaction. Sales receipt, payment, negative, to be not cleared, amount. I'm looking for like the Control Y report, which really it's not the same. I might have to go to reports and journal. That's not it. Okay, sorry
so
about
to
that.
Get the journal entry, you have to go to the audit log.
Oh, really? I can't go to the journal and filter by sales receipt?
I think it's, yeah, you can, but I think it's easier to go to the audit log. It's just my, I mean,
no, right on.
You can go to the journal.
I'll do that next to show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that next to show the different ways, because your way is going to be better. So I should see my, yeah, there's my sales receipt for RFQ, and 200 debited to undeposited funds, which is correct, and then 200 credited to revenue for the consulting. And so now I can go to the plus sign bank deposit, and I have my sales receipt here, which is $0, right? So that actually worked out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were saying how else you can go to the audit log under the
Yes.
gear icon,
Yep.
audit log, which is under the tools menu, under the gear icon, or click on a company file name.
Yep.
Sales receipt. Oh, view history. Oh, that's way easier. Let's see if it shows the debit and credit. Well, that's just the history, though, not necessarily the debit and credit. I think I have to do the journal report.
It used to show you the audit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, it should,
maybe
I
not.
guess. It just doesn't show what was debited, or it doesn't have a debit credit column, which I think people
Right.
be used
Oh,
to.
I see what you were trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to do
I get it.
Jason's Control Y, like showing it, and then you can go ahead and deposit the funds. So, yeah, it's a $0. So I really shouldn't have to deposit anything because that payment item put it in undeposited funds. I guess I still have to deposit that $200. So it's not as, I guess it's not as slick as desktop, but it still works. Similar theory.
Yes.
Right, but a payment item, I'm still going to have to go deposit that into make a deposit for that, right, in desktop?
Yeah, I mean, you're still gonna. You're still gonna have to record that. For me, I don't do $0 sales receipts like he was talking about, and everybody does it differently. I think he was specifically talking about like a retail store that had a merchant service, and so how our retail stores do it, if their POS doesn't somehow integrate with like an IAF file, we usually will go in and we'll do a Z report, and so we'll pull and we'll do an invoice for the day's sales, and then we look at the types of payments that we received, and then we'll receive a payment against the total from that report. So there'd be, with a total of all the Visa, total of all the MasterCard, total, so we can keep track of that. That's generally how I've always done it with my retail stores. I don't use that. I never use that payment, and it's regardless of whether they're processing in or out of Quick. I mean, usually they're processing through their POS system or whatever. So I don't really use that payment item.
Well, that was a good question. That's fine. That was a good question because it actually opened up a couple things. Number one, you can do it for the most part, so just create an item, better than deposit or the discount approach. And that when you're on the sales receipt, if I click on the blue link for the sales receipt, which will bring me back to sales receipt, that More tab in the lower right, so there's transaction journal. Oh, I just clicked on the wrong one. Sorry, guys. On the More tab, there's a transaction journal. This gives you the debit and credit of the transaction. Yes, I knew it was there. So the Control Y is under the More tab on transactions in QBO. Sorry about that. I hit audit history. That's just the transaction history.
Yeah, and that was my bad.
Got it.
Sorry to confuse anybody. I'm gonna apologize. I didn't. I guess I wasn't trying. I couldn't. I wasn't registering what you were. I wasn't getting through in my tiny little brain.
I should have seen the transaction journal. I just didn't. But so you can do it, and it's there. And I love the little Control Y. There's just no keystroke to get to that in QBO. But still, good stuff. Charlie, sorry it was so late, but hopefully that answers it. How you can do it. Create an item, link it to undeposited funds, or the checking account even. Right? Just put it in the checking account.
You know what? I have a good question.
Then you wouldn't have to deposit it. Right. Yeah, go ahead.
That just came up on my email from Shannon. She's my she's my QuickBooks account manager, my QuickBooks service manager. She's my right-hand person.
Nice.
I just want to say it's so amazing when you find someone who after hiring a couple people and you find someone who does exactly what you need them to do and just does a really great job of it, and the clients love her. Like I think you're a little bit more when you're hiring. I think you're a little bit more. You're just a little happier if you've gone through some people that maybe haven't worked out. I mean, I went through 2 people before I found Shannon, and amazing. And so she actually just sent me an interesting question, and basically it's the difference between Intuit Payment Network and merchant services. So we have a client who was getting confused about IPN versus merchant services, and I don't know about you, and I'll ask you how you explain this to people when they ask what the difference is, but for me, the way I explain it is that IPN, or Intuit Payment Network, when dealing specifically with QBO, I mean, it works the same with desktop, basically, but I always say that IPN is when you want to allow your clients to pay online, and they initiate the payment themselves via the internet. So they'll get an invoice, you'll send them an invoice, the customer or client, and there'll be a big blue button in the email that says pay now, and they can click on that, and then they can go pay with either a check or credit card, and you can set up the types of payments that you'll accept. Merchant services is when you are actually generating the payment from within QuickBooks or QuickBooks Online, right? So I'm going to be using IPN if I don't have a customer's credit card on file and a credit card authorization to process that payment automatically. I'm going to turn on IPN so that I'm going to send them their invoice, and they'll be able to pay online. If I have their credit card on file, then I'm going to I can go in and I can receive a payment within QuickBooks, and I have their credit card on file in QuickBooks, and I would maybe key it in or use the key card scanner. Would you consider that to be an accurate description of the differences?
No, not right now, because I've sharing out again my screen.
Okay.
In the QBO, it's just, we don't separate it, IPN versus MAS. It's just called QuickBooks Payments, and you can either take credit card or bank transfer payments, accept payments through QuickBooks, emailed invoices, or sales receipt, or mobile like Go Payment. And there's 2 options.
I have 2 different accounts. I have an IPN account and I have a merchant services account.
Okay.
They're 2 completely different logins.
Well, now in the new QBO, when you go to payments in the company setting, there's really 2 options. There's $19.95 a month, and I'm showing it now where and it changes the rate. You know, you can either pay as you go, and it's nothing a month, but the swipe rate is 2.4 plus 25 cents per transaction. The keyed rate is 3.4% plus 25 cents, and the bank ACH is 50 cents a payment. And then if you pay $20 a month, you know, it's a 1.75%. Swipe rate, key rate is 3.15, and the bank ACH is 50 cents. So I don't see other options for payments in QBO right now. It's like whether it's Go Payment, Intuit Payment Network, or you're just from a sales receipt or an invoice. I'm sorry, receive payment window. You're swiping a card. It's just called QuickBooks Payments in QBO now, and there's just 2 plans: $20 a month or 0.
Well, but for older, it's kind of like if you're using like QuickBooks Classic, you know, it's still, I know, somebody in the, Joanne Baker's like more confusion. Because
right, but if you're starting new,
if you're starting new, it doesn't matter. They're just QuickBooks Payments. But if you have an older account, that's really that's the difference. So
right, because with QuickBooks Desktop, now you're seeing my QuickBooks account in 2014. If I add credit card processing, it should launch a window. And again, I'm new, so it's probably a similar thing. It's like the Intuit Payment Solutions. Now, see, it changed to QuickBooks Payments. So if it's new, it's the same. If you're in Desktop or QBO or Mac and you add payments and you're new, it's the same. If you were using MAS for years like you guys, you and Joanne and a lot of longtime pro advisors, or even your clients, I don't know yet how you route it from MAS to this. I do know, actually, wait, we have a document on this, hold on here. And I don't mind showing you guys this. There's this, the QB desktop to QBO conversion tips dealing with mass
Which
payroll and inventory.
We
And
also
so
have
mass,
it on our website. That's also
yeah,
on
we have it somewhere else, right?
If
Okay,
you
good.
scroll through the blog
Good.
posts, it's there as well. I posted that there.
Yeah. Good. And so you guys would log in with your existing account. There was an option in QBO, it says existing account. So you would log in with your existing account. And the biggest thing is your recurring payments. So it explains what you have to do with recurring charges, you know, as you're doing it. So the recurring charges need to be turned off in desktop in order to avoid double charging the customers. If you set them up in the Merchant Service Center, you can log into that and suspend them there, or call Merchant Service Support. Again, key number 800-558-9558. You might want to call them just to do it. They're probably going to reference this KB though. This KBR. If you set up recurring charges in desktop, choose customer. Okay, you guys are already doing that, and suspend them. And then you link the merchant service to QuickBooks Online. So you sign into QBO, you go to your company settings, and then you click the existing account, connect, and then it brings you to the link payment service to QBO company file. So it shows your merchant account ID, etc. And then payment account successfully linked. I do think it's still going to be, you're paying the monthly fee of probably $20 a month, and whether it's Go Payment, IPN, or credit card processing from a sales receipt or receive payment window, that we all kind of lump it in together now. So once it's linked, it should be easier, and then you can set up recurring transactions in QBO. That's different. You create a recurring sales receipt for monthly charges, right? It explains that. I updated this is a KB. I didn't create all this. I just updated it for current terminology and harmony, the new QBO.
Yeah.
And then, so you should be able to do it, the mass section. So if you guys have clients that are on desktop and they've been using mass for a while, or payroll or inventory, this article is helpful. It explains about payroll, what to do, and then inventory, So just something to consider.
Yeah.
But so it should just be $20 a month or zero. Although I know pro advisors, you guys don't pay a monthly fee, right? So you're just paying the.
Honestly,
right?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you guys are paying a monthly fee. I don't think you are.
I wouldn't know. Like, I get all these charges on my cards that say like Intuit, whatever, and I don't know what they're for, and I just don't really. Yeah. At this point, I just don't bother. And not all these charges. I just want to say that I have a couple different subscription things that I get every month, and I know one of them is probably like our Radio Free QuickBooks, and I know, but I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Right. I don't pay. Isn't that great? I need somebody to do my books. Basically, I need somebody to do my bookkeeping for me.
That is ironic. All right.
Sad.
So
I would say it's sad. That's what I would call it.
All right, let's do another kind of job costing one, theoretical, and then there's several accountants copy issue questions that are kind of all related, so I wanted to just quickly go over that in my QBA. So first of all, I'm working for this company. They bill workers' comp adjusters, and the bill, basically they create the workers' comp adjusters are customers, so the people who own QuickBooks are going to create an invoice for these customers. And the bill needs to show the cases that the adjusters are working on. So how would you set that up in QuickBooks Desktop? And it would be the same in QBO too. Stacy, you got some ideas on that?
Hang on. What was the question again?
Yeah, so let's say your customers are workers' comp adjusters. That's what they are. They're your customers, and you send them an invoice. But on the invoice, you have to include like the case they're working on. So they might have in a given year like 30 or 35 cases they work on, and you want to do all that like to track estimate to actual and job costing. So basically, the question is, how would I set it up in QuickBooks? From a customer point of view, to track it?
So that's a good question, because you can't have more than one level. So basically,
Well, what do you mean? I was just going to say that the adjusters would be customers, and then you would just add a job for all the cases, so that,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So you'd have the customer name, like still Stacy Kildall, case number 0034, And you could do the same in QBO by using the sub-customer method, which is your, the job costing trick. Since there's no technical job field in QBO,
right.
You can set up sub-customers.
I don't wait. Let me see. I'm working for this company. They bill workers' comp adjusters, and the bill needs to have cases. So if they,
and by bill they mean customer invoice.
Right. So okay, yeah. I mean, the adjusters would be the customers, and the cases would be the jobs. If there needs to be one more level, then I mean, you could maybe do the adjusters as classes, and if maybe the cases there's different subcategories under the cases as well. So there's like a third level. That's kind of how I was reading it a little bit, but I could be wrong, and that's one of the things about the way I love doing the show and these questions is you can read so much into some of these questions. But yeah, I mean, just straight up, adjusters as customers, and then the cases as the jobs. And you could even you could do it like, let's say there's one case has more than one job, so you could have like case number 1234 dash job 1, and then have multiple jobs, and they might all sort of start with the same prefix. The way that you name the jobs is what I'm thinking. So there's that. You could do that way.
Yeah, no, that's a good way too. I was thinking. Because if they're doing 30 to 35 cases a year, there's going to be a lot of jobs under each adjuster's name. So maybe
that's not a big deal, because maybe when the case is done, they just make it inactive. Or in QuickBooks Online, I'm sorry, this is my little pet peeve right now with QuickBooks Online is can you pull up a chart of account, because I don't have QBO open right now.
Yeah, sure. Sure, hold on.
One of the things you could just make it inactive. If they have a lot of different cases, you finish it up. If they're done, then when they're done with that case, they can just make it inactive. If they need to, they can reactivate it or whatever. And then in QuickBooks Online, it's technically called deleting. But there's a little thing that I want to point out right now that's sort of driving me slightly crazy, and it's really because it's confusing my customers. If you go maybe to, I think, like your chart of accounts.
Yeah. I'm on it.
All right, where are you?
Trying to look for one that I can just get rid of. I'll do an expense or something.
So here's the deal. You don't even have to. All you have to do is just show. I'm trying to get you on the screen. Okay, so just show the chart of accounts. And what I want to point out here is, like, if you just select any one of these accounts, and this is where there's a little bit of a disconnect. So if you go to your gear icon and then you go to the chart of accounts in QuickBooks Online, you can see if you select any one of the accounts, there's buttons at the top of the screen that are going to show up. There's New, Edit, Delete, Register, Report, Print, blah, blah, blah. And so one of the buttons up there is Delete. So, but when you delete something in QuickBooks Online, it doesn't necessarily delete it if you have any transactions associated with it. It's the equivalent of making it inactive. Now, here's where the disconnect comes in, and what happens is there's another thing on the right above the chart of accounts, right next to the New button, is there's a little checkbox that says Include Inactive, and this is where some of my clients and when I was out in Mountain View 2 weeks ago, I brought this up to their attention. Like, we have to make sure that we get the terminology, or you have to make sure, not me, because I don't write the code. You get the terminology correct, because when you click that delete button, a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't realize that that's making it inactive, and so you can delete, and I'm using air quotes right now. You can delete an account or anything else in QuickBooks Online, but really what it's doing, if there's any transactions associated with it, it's making it inactive. And in looking at the chart of accounts screen, you have the option to include inactive, and we're looking at the new QBO, and I think that's very confusing because how are they supposed to know that that's really what they just deleted? And so I just wanted to bring that attention because it's been coming up more and more and more the last couple of weeks. I've been getting the same kind of questions but from clients, and I've been seeing it online, is how do I make something inactive? How do I get a report that shows what has been made inactive? And this is how you do it. You go to the gear icon, chart of accounts. If you need to make it inactive, you'll select the account, click the delete button, and then if you want to show your chart of accounts or whatever list it is that you're looking at with the inactive things, then you can go ahead and you can show inactive. And when you're including inactive, you can click that maybe that chart of account, that account in the chart of accounts that has been marked as inactive, and if you go edit it, you click the edit button, you can actually go back and undelete it or make it active again. And that little button is down in the bottom left.
Yeah, you uncheck the inactive box and click save.
Yep.
And then it should be active again. Yeah, see, it's active again. I mean, it's kind of cool that when you delete something, it doesn't totally delete. It just makes it inactive. But they should just change delete to make inactive or something. Yeah, that's good. I'll go ahead and come back here.
More?
Yeah.
Let's see. I have one for you.
Okay.
Yeah. The client gave me accountant's copy transfer file, which would be the .qbx file extension, from QuickBooks 2013 on a CD. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but when's the last time you burned a CD? I'm not saying, I'm just saying, it's been a long time since I've burned a CD. So anyway, client gave me accountant's copy transfer file from QuickBooks 2013 on a CD. I have QuickBooks Pro 2014. When I choose File Accountant's Copy, there is no option to open and convert transfer file. Woody, what do they do? How do they fix this?
Right. So I'm sharing out, and there was a lot of accountant's copy questions on the community forums. So if you're looking at my desktop QBA and you need to be in the accountant edition, whether it's QuickBooks Accountant at the Premier level or Enterprise Accountant, under the File menu, Accountant's Copy, this middle section is not in non-accountant. This middle section is missing from the non-accountant editions of QuickBooks, which is, I think, this is like the meat and potatoes. This allows you to open and convert a transfer file, which, as Stacy mentioned, the .qbx. You can view export changes. You can even convert the accountant's copy to a full company file. The box on the right under client activities, this is all she's seen. In Pro, even though Pro has an accountant's copy submenu under File, it just says Save File, Send to Accountant, Import Changes from the web or a file, and Remove Restrictions. That's the only submenu she has, off of the accountant's copy. So it's important, as from an accountant standpoint, that you guys are in QBA, but my guess is most people listening to the show are using QBA, and so this would be old hat for them. But there was a lot of things, like, I'm trying to convert it into a contractor edition. Contractor's not going to have this thing.
Yep.
And so on. So accountant's copy, you can go 1 year back, but it's best to open it within the same year. You can't go 2 years back. Things like that. Those have been some kind of the general theme of confusion. So if you're going to be doing a lot with accountant's copy as far as actually working on the file, want to send back the changes to either the current year or the 1 year prior, then use the accountant edition of QuickBooks.
Yep.
Very good.
Well, I think that's it. I want to do sponsors real quick. I'm going to throw my screen up so everybody can see our lovely sponsors. Do you want to do sponsors? Was I a little chatty? Was I a little too chatty last time with the sponsors?
No, that's all right. I can finish up if you want. Yeah. Let me see here. Sponsors. Yep. Cool. So we'd like to thank Avalara. Been with us for a while now. Avalara.com, or Avatax, the street name. Very sophisticated sales tax, dynamic engine, GPS tracking, even by zip codes as well to make sure that you're using the correct sales tax any issues with that your clients are having, it's probably, if they pay any penalties, it's probably worth just hooking that up to either desktop or QuickBooks Online. Also, we have exactonline.com. This is a heavy manufacturing wholesale add-on for desktop and QBO. So it's always nice to have another one for QuickBooks Online as well. And they do actually manufacturing scheduling and really great reporting. Important. T-Sheets, tsheets.com. I've been using them a lot in the last couple weeks. Really fun app, works on the phone, GPS tracking all over the world, time clock in and out, and it syncs great with QuickBooks, both desktop and QBO. I have it hooked up to QuickBooks Online. Very simple. And I can actually enter timesheets for other people, my other staff, if they forget, which I like. Zencash, zencash.com. I've also hooked that up to my QuickBooks Online file last week for fun. Tracking AR. There's an AR timeline. I can set alerts as well as message my clients, either to thank them for the payment or remind them of it, and even turn on collections if I want. So Zencash would take that over. Also works with desktop and QBO. And then, of course, Unidata, unidatait.com. QuickBooks and Microsoft Office hosting. Of course, both Stacy and Don use them as their platform to manage all their clients. So we'd like to thank everybody for listening to the show tonight. Again, yeah, we definitely missed Dawn. Hopefully she'll be back next Wednesday. Hoping she's feeling better. And Stacy, any last minute things before we head out for the week? All right. Well, you guys have an excellent week. Talk to you next Wednesday. Take care.